What happens when one of the most successful NFL coaches in history locks the door on his old team? Bill Belichick, who led the Patriots to 6 Super Bowls across 24 seasons, just proved it. It's clear that I'm not welcome there around their facility, so they're not welcome in ours. Very simple. That wasn't a rumor. It was Belichick's own words. In this video, we'll answer exactly who is banned, why Belichick acted, and the real consequences for NFL scouting and player exposure. And it all started with a post-game exchange reporters weren't expecting. Belichick's message hit the press conference without hesitation. After UNC's 23 win over Charlotte, he confirmed what had only been speculation. New England Patriots staff are not welcome at Tar Heels facilities. His exact words were sharp and unmistakable. It's clear that I'm not welcome there around their facility, so they're not welcome at ours. Pretty simple. Reporters, expecting routine remarks after his first collegiate victory, suddenly found the real story and a ban that was now official. The timeline behind it made the remarks even more striking. In August, word spread that a Patriots scout had been turned away from a UNC practice the day before it was scheduled to take place. That denial wasn't a scheduling mix-up, it was intentional. Since then, reports indicate Patriots staff haven't attempted another visit. For a program as visible as UNC, cutting off one of the NFL's franchises was more than unusual. It was a signal of where Belichick stood with his former team. To understand just how targeted the decision was, you need to look at the broader access rules. Most NFL teams face some restrictions at UNC. They can watch the first 3 periods of practice, usually stretching and early drills, but are denied entry afterward and aren't allowed to speak with coaches or staff. The Patriots, however, weren't granted even that limited window. Their exclusion wasn't a tightened policy for everyone. It was a wall built specifically for them. That distinction matters. Across college football, it's customary, even expected, for NFL scouts to be welcomed on campus. Schools benefit by giving their athletes exposure, and teams benefit by studying prospects in person. While UNC's rules might not break any official regulations, they stand out from the cooperative norms that have defined the relationship between NFL organizations and college programs. Blocking one team outright is something the system is not designed for. Belichick chose to shine a light on that break with tradition rather than focus on the field. What should have been a moment celebrating a defensive showcase and a first win instead became a headline about access. He didn't drift back to player performances or highlight reels. Instead, his comments turned the access dispute into the dominant storyline, making sure the announcement reached far beyond the local reporters in the room. The shift created immediate consequences. For UNC players eyeing the NFL draft, Patriots scouts won't be around to log first-hand evaluations. Limited access might blunt some opportunities, but no access cuts them off entirely. For prospects in Chapel Hill, that's one less franchise with eyes on their development. And in a league where exposure can determine draft position, that loss isn't minor. Equally important was the message itself. Belichick didn't frame this as just a scheduling issue or a quirk of procedure. He cast it as reciprocal treatment. He felt excluded from New England, so he excluded New England from Chapel Hill. That framing placed the decision firmly in the realm of personal pride and professional retaliation. And for someone known for keeping disputes quiet, voicing it so publicly made the confrontation impossible to ignore. In a sport built on pipelines between college programs and pro teams, closing one door can ripple far beyond the practice field. Here, the ban wasn't just administrative, it was symbolic, carrying the weight of personal history and visible fallout for players. Which raises the larger question, how did a strained relationship between Belichick and his former owner escalate into policies that now shape the future of UNC athletes? That's where the story turns next. A policy that looks unusual on paper starts to make sense once you see the personal history behind it. What began as a strained relationship between Bill Belichick and Patriots owner Robert Kraft has now shaped how the University of North Carolina handles NFL access. In August, reports confirmed a Patriots scout was turned away from a UNC practice just one day before it was scheduled. That single incident showed the feud had moved from words to actions, with the Patriots blocked in a way no other NFL team was. At first, Kraft's public framing of Belichick's exit suggested there was no animosity. He called their split amicable, the kind of line meant to calm headlines. But months later, it didn't sound that simple. Kraft went on record saying he had taken a big risk by hiring Belichick back in 1999, since the coach had little more than a 40% win rate before joining New England. Belichick pushed back, insisting that the real risk had been his accepting the job and staking his career on it. Those remarks showed this was no longer professional restraint. It was about whose legacy carried the most credit. Once comments like that hit the public, the fallout became clearer. Media outlets described the tension as open warfare, and at UNC, the effects were no longer symbolic. Belichick refused access to Patriots staff in the same way he felt shut out from New England facilities. Policies that normally reflect cooperative norms between NFL teams and college programs were reshaped by personal conflict. Importantly, there's no indication this violates NCAA rules, and colleges set their own scout access guidelines, and every NFL team still gets some chance to observe practices. But what makes this stand out is that one team, the Patriots, was cut out entirely, breaking with long-standing custom. For UNC athletes, that difference matters. Most NFL teams are allowed to attend at least the first 3 periods of practice, which typically covers stretching, drills, and early sessions. Scouts can make notes, keep relationships alive, and identify prospects. For the Patriots, none of that applies. Their exclusion strips away even those limited evaluation opportunities. And while one team missing might sound small in a league of 32, every additional scout in the stands can be the difference between being on the radar and being invisible. The selectiveness of it also changes how the decision is read. If UNC had barred every team beyond its base restrictions, it would come across as bureaucratic policy, but they didn't. Other clubs still walk the practice fields, only the Patriots are on the outside. That sharp contrast makes it clear that this isn't procedural. It comes directly from the fractured tie between Belichick and Kraft. Seen through that lens, Chapel Hill becomes more than just a college football setting. It's now a stage for unfinished business between a legendary coach and an owner who helped create the New England dynasty. The consequences reach beyond pride or control. They filter down into how scouts operate, how players get seen, and how one NFL team interacts with a major college program. What might look like a feud between 2 men at the top has reshaped the day-to-day opportunities for athletes who had no role in the dispute. And that raises a larger point. When a personal feud can rewrite access for an entire NFL franchise, it shows just how quickly individual power struggles ripple through the layers of football. In the end, this isn't about a sideline feud. It's about how that feud rewrote policy. What makes this case rare is that a personal dispute directly reshaped institutional scouting access, leaving UNC players with fewer chances to be evaluated by Patriots personnel. That means less exposure, fewer direct notes from scouts, and potentially one less opportunity come draft time. It also demonstrates how power at the top can alter established pipelines between NFL teams and Power 5 programs without breaking any formal NCAA rules. Do you think a coach should block NFL teams over a private feud? Comment below. And if you want more analysis on how influence and money shape opportunities in sports, make sure to subscribe.